Hey guys, this is Big Moran. This is going to be part 2 of my RBG series. This video is going to be on Deep Wind Gorge, and what I hope to do in this video is give a map overview, talk a little bit about composition, and then talk a little bit about strategy. So first things first, I want to talk about the map itself. There are 3 nodes on this map, and the nodes are carts that spawn in the middle and move towards their destination. The cart that is moving towards the very top, in the top left corner of the map, is generally called water or top. The cart that goes into the destination in the bottom left is generally called middle, and the cart that goes to the bottom right, that goes to the lava destination, is generally called lava cart. And these terms are really important because if you join a pug group, they'll usually use this terminology to refer to the carts and their destinations. Whenever a cart reaches its destination, the team that is controlling that cart will be rewarded with points. And the way you gain control on this map of individual carts is that it's a king of the hill battle, meaning whoever has more party members within the circle of the cart will be taking control of the cart. So if you have 6 players within the circle and the other team has 4 players, you will be gaining control of that cart. Additionally, residual points are rewarded for teams that are controlling carts. By this I mean, if you are in control of a cart, you'll receive a small amount of points every few seconds for just controlling that cart. But in general, you receive a lot more points from having a cart being capped while it's in your possession. The next thing I'd like to do is talk a little bit about composition on this map. This is a team fight map, meaning that you'll often be engaged with large battles with the enemy team. Because of this, it's important to have a good balance between control and damage. The following team composition is what I would recommend for this map. I would recommend having 1 rogue for control of the enemy team and to set up kills, 1 mage, which will provide a lot of control on enemy healers, 1 warlock, which will also provide a lot of control on enemy healers, plus burst if they're destro, and then having a DK and a warrior. And having both of these is really good because they put a lot of constant pressure on the enemy team, and they do quite a bit of damage with cooldowns. On top of that, having a boomkin or a hunter is really good on this map, specifically because those are very mobile classes that are good in 1v1s and can easily take enemy carts from solo players. On top of that, I'd recommend having a feral or guardian. It doesn't necessarily matter which one you choose. I personally think guardians are better on this map, but if your druid wants to play feral, that shouldn't hurt you too much. And then having 3 healers is really good on this map. As far as healing compositions are concerned, I always recommend running with 2 paladins and 1 monk, but it's perfectly fine to run with a paladin, holy priest, or druid, or any combination of healers, so long as you don't have 2 resto shamans or 2 resto druids. The reason you don't want to have 2 resto shamans is because they're generally kill targets for the enemy team, and they're very easy to train down, especially when you have a lot of members hitting the same target. Resto shamans will die pretty quick. The next thing I like to do is talk about the general strategy for this map. In the opener, you're going to want to send 8 of your party members to the lava cart, and you're going to want to send your guardian druid to the top cart, and he's probably going to be met with the other team's druid, so he's going to be in a very long 1v1 with the enemy team's druid. And you're going to send your hunter or boomkin to the middle cart. And by splitting the map this way, you can devote a lot of resources to winning the lava cart. And generally, if you do win the team fight at lava, you're going to want to send 1 floater to either middle or to top to help either your guardian or boomkin, whichever one doesn't have control of the cart. In this next clip, I'm just going to highlight that opener I was just talking about. So in this opener, as you can see, my Guardian on our mini-map is headed towards the top cart, while the rest of our team goes to lava. And generally in the lava team fight, you're going to want to kill healers first, because this is a team fight map, and if they have no healers available to heal their party members, they're going to wipe relatively quick. So I call that we're going to go on the Arrestor Druid, and right here he actually Displacer Beasts away, and it takes me a while to find him, but he gets gripped back in, and as soon as I'm able to connect on this Arrestor Druid, I'm going to stun him and I'm going to bomb. And this ensures that we get a quick kill on their healer. So now they're down one healer, which means they're down roughly 33% of their healing. So we're going to want to connect on the next healer, and I can't find them, so I'm just going to hit whatever I can and do as much damage, as much pressure while they're down a healer. It's really good to be super aggressive with offensive cooldowns on this map because it is a team fight map, and the more damage you're able to put on the enemy team, the more stress it's going to put on their healers, and the greater chance you have at scoring a kill. So I get off this boomkin, I'm going to go to their second remaining healer, which is a Holy Priest. And once again, I'm going to try to use all my control abilities on him, meaning Cheap Shot and Garrote. And once again, we're able to connect on their Priest, and because we're all hitting the same target, he's going to die relatively quickly. So right now they're down 2 healers, which is pretty big. This means that they're down 66% of their healing. And so for the remainder of this team fight, we're just going to pick apart at the DPS and try to control as much as possible. And if you're a mage or a warlock in this map, it's really effective to just spam CC on the enemy team. And what you can do in some situations is CC the enemy team out of the ring, and so that means you don't even have to kill them. If you just CC them out of the ring, they won't be gaining the points and they won't be gaining the control over the cart. So that's really effective if you just use your CC abilities as a caster to CC the enemy team out of the cart. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a recap as to what should happen in the opener on this map. You should send your Guardian Druid or Feral Druid, whichever one, to the top cart. You should send your Boomkin or Hunter to the middle cart. And you're going to want to send the rest of your team to the lava team fight. So what you're going to want to do in this team fight is play as aggressive as possible. You're going to want to look to score kills on enemy healers. And the reason for this is because this is a team fight map, meaning it's going to be very healing intensive. And the less healing output the enemy team has, the harder it is to keep the DPS alive, and it's going to be easier, exponentially easier, to continue scoring kills once a healer is already dead on the enemy team. So the next stage of this map is to send a floater to either top or a middle cart. And a floater is someone who has high mobility and is able at any time to assist with the 1v1 of either your Guardian Druid at top or your Boomkin / Hunter in middle. So I'm the rogue and I have a lot of mobility on this map, so I'm going to be the floater. And right now I'm going to have to make a choice between going top and going to middle. And if I go to top, I'm going to be assisting my Guardian Druid, who's probably going to be engaged in 1v1 with the enemy team's Druid. If I go to mid, I'm going to be helping my Hunter, which is going to be attacking whatever DPS came to get the middle cart. One of the biggest misconceptions on this map is that you need to be in control of all 3 carts at the same time. This is not true, and in fact the better strategy and the safer strategy is to control 2 carts at the same time. And generally the carts that are most important to control are the lava cart, and then in addition to having the lava cart, controlling one of the off carts. And by off carts I mean either mid or top cart. So right now we're in control of the middle cart, and the lava cart's about to spawn. So I have to make a decision on where to go, and I hear that my Guardian Druid is currently engaged in a small little fight with the enemy team's Druid at top cart. So we have the potential to take that top cart while also having middle. So I'm going to try to go to the top card to help my Guardian Druid win the 1v1. And right now I'm playing the role of floater on this map, meaning I'm going to go float to whatever off cart that I'm needed at, and occasionally I will be called back to team fight. But what floaters do on this map is they stand in between the top cart and the middle cart, and they assist with whatever DPS needs help. So as I mentioned, generally you're going to want to have a Boomkin or Hunter in the middle cart and then your Guardian at the top cart, and they're going to have incoming enemy players to their carts, and whichever one of them needs help is where I'm going to want to be. So my Guardian Druid right now is calling that he needs help at top, so I'm going to help assist him with the top cart. And by doing this, we're going to stick to our 2-cart strategy, and we're going to take possession of the top cart while also having possession of the middle cart. So as a small recap to what I just said, on this map, it's more important to control 2 carts than it is to control 3 carts. And you're going to want to always going to want to attempt to take control of the lava cart. And it is the main team fight cart because it does cap the quickest. It has the shortest distance between its spawn and its destination. And you're going to want to designate a floater to help with either the top or the middle cart. And you're going to want to float to whatever cart is easiest to take. So say for instance there's only one person 1v1ing your Guardian Druid at top, that would be the best place to float. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go help my Guardian Druid with the top cart, and this way we can hold true to our 2-cart strategy. And as you can see, I'm playing with burst of speed, and running with mobility talents on this map is really important because you're going to want to constantly go to whatever cart needs help. And so if you're a mage, I would recommend playing with blazing speed, and if you're a warlock, I would recommend putting a gateway in between the lava cart and the middle cart. So as you can see right here, we just took control of the top cart, and I'm going to immediately leave once we have control because there's no way that enemy feral is going to 1v1 our Guardian. So right now I'm just going to go to wherever I'm needed, and since middle is about to cap, I'm just going to head there to make sure that we can cap it. And I'm notified that I'm not needed in the middle anymore, so I'm going to start heading to the lava cart. So this is where the strategy begins to repeat itself, and after the first lava cart caps, you're going to want to go back to the lava team fight and constantly just try to win it every time that the lava cart spawns. And you're going to want to keep your Guardian Druid and your Hunter between the other 2 carts, and I would recommend keeping your Guardian Druid at top cart and your Hunter at mid. And you're going to want to designate one person on your team to float for the remainder of the game. So you're going to want to just generally hold true to the 2-cart strategy because I think it is the best and most conservative strategy and the best way to ensure a easy victory on this map. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that if you do have crowd control abilities, it is really effective to use them and to chain them on enemy players just to keep them out of the cart. And so this is something kind of nifty that I'm going to do on my rogue. And I noticed that this Feral Druid, which is a very hard class for me to 1v1, is trying to take possession of this cart. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to spam my crowd control abilities and try to make it so that he falls out of the cart range and is no longer in the circle. So I'm just going to try to chain together as much CC as possible on this enemy player to make it so that he's out of the targeting circle. And so I'm going to use things like my blind, and then I'm going to shadow dance sap him after that because he's going to be out of combat. And I'm just going to try to chain together this long CC chain and keep him out of the targeting circle. And as you can see, I'm able to chain together enough CC that he's actually out of the circle. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be moving towards the middle. And as you can see, by just doing that, we gained a lot of possession on this cart. And so now that if he were to knock me out of the cart momentarily, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because we have quite a big lead with possession of this cart. One thing you should be cautious of when going for this top cart is that they'll generally send their Guardian or Feral Druid to this top cart, and their druid will be playing with the ability called Typhoon. And as you can see, there's a lot of places, especially on this top node, where the Guardian Druid could knock you off. And in this upcoming bridge, a lot of times the druids will try to Typhoon you off the bridge. So you're going to want to be very wary of your positioning. So I'm just going to try to stand in a place where he's not able to knock me off. And so when he does use this Typhoon on me, I'm going to want to try to position myself to where it won't knock me off. And so I'm trying to stand in the middle of this landmass. And as you can see, his Typhoon doesn't do anything to me. So that's just something you should be cautious of, is the fact that the Guardian Druid at top will try to knock you out. And there's some other classes that can knock you out on this map, and specifically this bridge. Hunters have Explosive Trap, which is really effective at knocking people out on this bridge, and Ellie Shamans have Thunderstorm. And so if you are in a 1v1 situation or just in a team fight situation and there's an enemy Ellie Shaman or Hunter, you're going to want to be very wary of their positioning, and you're going to want to position yourself accordingly. And if you are a class that has a knockback, it is really effective to use them, specifically on places like this bridge, because you can potentially take control of the cart by knocking the enemy team into the water, and they're going to have to swim all the way around to get back into the targeting circle. As a bit of advanced strategy on this map, you do have the ability to switch the tracks of the lava and top carts. And to do that, there's these little signs with arrows pointing left or right, and that indicates the direction of the cart. And by default, the top cart will always try to go to the top left cap. But if you do switch it right, it will go to the top right cap, which is much further away. And the same thing applies to lava. By default, it is set to the right, and if you switch it, it will go to the top right cap, which is further away. And there are times where this can become useful. For instance, if the game is coming down to the wire and you think you're not going to be able to win the lava team fight in time, you could potentially switch the lava track to go up top, delaying the game and allowing the potential to cap the off carts instead of the lava carts. And the same thing applies to the top cart. Say the top cart is about to hit the place where it's going to change tracks, and if the enemy team were to cap the top cart, they would win the game. If you do switch the tracks, it will delay the game and allow you to win the other two carts. But this is in very specific situations. Rarely you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to want to switch the tracks. In general, this is something that you're going to build knowledge of over time. You're going to have a general feel of what carts need to be swapped to delay the game long enough for you to win the off carts. So if you're a beginner to this map and you're rather inexperienced in RPGs, I would recommend not messing with the ability to switch tracks. So as a bit of recap of everything I've said so far on strategy, you're generally going to want to fight for the lava cart because it is the cart that caps the quickest, and you're going to want to devote as many resources to this as possible. And you're going to want to keep a Feral Druid or Guardian Druid at one of the other nodes, and then a Boomkin or Hunter at one of the other nodes, just to try to win the off carts. And if you do take control of the lava cart, you can designate one person to float to help either your Guardian Druid or your Boomkin / Hunter with their carts. And you're going to want to hold true to this 2-cart strategy because it is the most conservative strategy and the strategy that can ensure victory most often. And you're rarely going to want to take control of 3 carts, and it's a bit unnecessary unless you're losing the game. That would be one situation where you could take control of a 3rd cart. So in this last clip, I'm just going to highlight another opener, and the opener is really important because it kind of sets the pace of the game, and getting control of this lava cart early is really important. and we're actually on Alliance this side. And I'm just going to highlight how easy it is to kill a Resto Shaman, and why you shouldn't have a Resto Shaman as one of your healers, because they just die so easily. So with this in mind, we're just going to train the Resto Shaman and just pump them down in this team fight. And I'm just going to open with a Garrote, and as soon as I can, I'm going to try to stun this Shaman. And once I get a stun on him, I'm just going to bomb, and we're going to get a kill on him very quickly. And as you can see, we have everyone hitting him, and he's just going to flop. And so that's why you don't want to run with the Resto Shaman, because they just tend to flop like that in team fights. And that concludes my video on Silver Shard Mines. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section of this video or post on the forums.